Dialysis is basically when you're hooked up to a machine,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like it's a giant artificial kidney machine.
Okay.
So what it does is help filter out your blood and everything through a cycle. So you're hooked up to this machine. Right now, I have a temporary port right here in my chest.
That's for the dialysis?
That's for the dialysis, yes. I would pull it out and show you, but I don't know how.
Whoa,
I don't know. We don't want to do
no,
that.
No, that's okay, man.
I don't mind showing it. It's okay, but I have a port right here. I just recently had a graft installed in my arm, which is kind of like a fistula, but they take a tube connected to your arterial veins and your big veins in your arm and stuff like that. I don't want to get all medical with it because that might go over a lot of people's heads, but they connected to certain veins in your arm, and from there, they put in like 2 needles here. If you were to feel my arm, you can actually feel a tube that follows me right here. It's like a seat. So they'll eventually, once this matures, they will hook that up. And then from there, those 2 lines that come out, they go to the machine. It cycles your blood and all the fluid and everything in your body, recycles it, filters that out, but puts the blood back in. So it constantly is circling and cycling. And, you know, like I was sharing with Jason here, I was telling him just a couple of stories about dialysis. Just being in the center, it's really cold in there because these machines are so big, they run hot and they got water and everything. They're running hot, so it has to be cold in there. So even during the wintertime, you can imagine it's like 30 degrees outside. You're going in here, it's like 68, and you're just like still cold. So I always take a blanket and a pillow. You know, I sleep through it. Dialysis, it doesn't hurt. You don't feel anything. The only thing you may feel once they get rid of your port and they have to use your fistula or your graft, you only feel the needle. But after a while, you don't. Even when they put the needle in, you don't feel it. You don't feel it because your body's used to doing that. That's why I know, like, I know this is weird to say, but you know, like people who do drugs like heroin and stuff, they always do it in the same place. That's why after a while they can just stick a needle and they don't feel it because
it's like you get numb, right?
Yes.
So they don't even feel it.
Yeah, the area gets very numb and, you know, kind of just susceptible to that. That area. But I was just telling Jason some stories about just being in dialysis. Like, you do make good friendships there with people. You know, you try to motivate others, especially if you're doing good and your numbers are good. You're like, hey man, I'm doing good with my numbers. What's yours look like? Oh, they're not that great. You're like, come on man, we can do this. We can do this together. You know. You have your up moments and you have your down moments. I know when I first started, I was depressed. I didn't want to be there. I was like, why am I here? And everything. It was just, it all hit me at once. But then, you know, while I was in there, you know, I'm seeing people my dad's age and my grandparents' age. You know,
mostly like old people in there.
It's mostly older people, yes. And it's a various of races too, you know. You have everybody in there at some point. And
so blood pressure don't care about your race, black, Chinese, Indian. You don't care about your race.
No.
When it coming, man.
It does not care. And like you have people that come in there, they're calm and quiet. And then you have others that come in there, they don't want to be there and they're shouting, fussing, and fighting the nurses, but those nurses are trying to help save your life. So it's kind of like, why are you fussing? You put yourself here. And that's where I had to come to the realization, because I mean, I wasn't arguing with anybody or anything. I was just quiet. Would go in, sit in my chair, and they would run the machine on me, and then I would go home. But I came to a realization that the only person that put myself here was myself. And you know, that's what a lot of people nowadays need to start looking at, is they always want to blame somebody or something, or blame God or whoever higher power they believe in. You know, they want to blame everybody else for their problems. But the problem is, you have to look at it and go, I put myself here. And that's what I did. I put myself here, and I was like, how do I get out of here? You know, and I was like, well, speaking to the nurses. I have there's a dietitian there, everything, even social workers. You ask them, how do I get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you straight up. They're not going to sugarcoat anything to you. And that's what I love about it is they'll tell you, it's like, you need to do this. You got to get your blood pressure down. You got to make sure you're taking all your meds. You got to make sure you're eating right.
Yeah.
You got to lose the weight. You got to do this. It was a lot of things I had to do, to get out of there. And, at first you're like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And then you're still doing the same things you're doing.
Just for that moment, you say, oh, I do it.
You're like, I'll do it. And then you don't really do it.
Yeah.
Because you are kind of a little stuck in your ways. But
and you come right back in that damn center.
Yeah. So you're always going to be in the center. But, even when you're in the center, you're not doing what you're supposed to. And the hardest part was when you're in the center and you see the people there, you're used to seeing everybody at a certain time because everybody goes in at certain times. And the hard part is seeing people that you develop some friendships with. Yeah, is when they no longer show up. And usually it's because either, and it's not always bad, but majority of the time it is. Sometimes they just go to a closer center, dialysis center closer to their house. They may move. Some people just stop showing up entirely. And that's not good either because that machine was helping them basically stay alive. Yeah. And, like they'll stop showing up, but then they'll return. Yeah. And then they'll back and forth. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's not good. Yeah. But then you have some people, that may go home right after dialysis and then they're no longer here. Wow. I've even seen a few people die in the chair right there in front of me while on the machine. And that's kind of hard to see, especially when you're calling for the nurse and saying, hey, there's something wrong with him. There's something wrong. Yeah. And, because you could tell because we all wear blood pressure cuffs and got a blood pressure cuff on and it's not reading anything. You mean your heart's not pumping or anything? Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen a lot just being at the center itself. Yeah. And, I've been, even when I was at the center and I had to go to vacation or something, I had to pre-plan everything months in advance. So, you can go to any center, in terms of emergencies, you can go to the hospital and everything like that. But the dialysis center does help you out a lot. And they do help set you up for a transplant list and whatnot. Your doctor who's a nephrologist who works with the whole, basically your whole, like your urinary tract, your kidneys and all that stuff. They work with that. And, mine, Dr. G, that he's been my nephrologist from day one. Both of us were positive from the jump. Yeah. He really saved my life. Okay. And that's good. When I got my transplant, I went back and saw him right after my transplant to his office. And I walked in there and I saw him and I was like, thank you for saving my life. And now he's one of like my good friends. It's weird. But yeah, that's mainly it about the dialysis center, man.
Guys, this guy is very tough. He's a strong guy, man. He go through a lot. If it was like I don't know what to say, man, but this guy go through a lot. Trust me. All right, man. Go follow him on Facebook, guys.